All right. Well, this is not a good look. I was looking at some of the new data that is coming out here as we have a really strong area of low pressure that's going to develop this week, and that's going to bring a lot of severe weather, unfortunately, to many areas. And I don't know that this is the end of it. In fact, it looks really active as we head through March. We're going to look at some of that today. Let's dig into some of the details of what we're looking at as we head into next week. And we're also going to talk about the weather that you can expect this weekend. We have this upper low that's spinning through Southern California. That's going to move through the Four Corner states. But the big system that we're watching is just moving into the West Coast, into Southern California as we head into Sunday. A really strong jet streak, a trough aloft. I mean, this is a negatively tilted trough. This is going to lead to rapidly developing surface low pressure on the east side of the Rockies. It's what we call a lee side low pressure area as that air column starts to stretch out on the east side of the mountains. Very strong looking here, big winds aloft, and this is the dynamics for a big storm that starts to develop across the central and eastern United States. It's really going to develop first here across the southern plains. A very strong jet streak that could exceed 100 knots. So if you go up into the atmosphere pretty high up, you're looking at winds, again, in the jet stream that could really fuel these strong thunderstorms and at the same time really fuel surface low pressure developing as we head into Monday and then into Tuesday. Once we get into Wednesday, this gets to almost really start to look what we call like a vertically stacked low where surface low pressure and the upper low really stack on top of each other. So don't get me wrong, there's still going to be a chance of severe weather to the east, but in my mind, the stronger dynamics move to the north, and we may actually be dealing with some cloud cover too as this moves to the north. So clearly your severe threat much lower the further north you go. To me, the Storm Prediction Center is pretty much in line. Still, their day 4 outlook targeting, again, Missouri over to Illinois, southern Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, and then a bullseye just to the south across Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, eastern Oklahoma, Texas. You know, I still think you're going to get some severe weather out of this, and watch out into Alabama too. And then as we head into now Wednesday, this shifts off to the east. Now, I don't know. Does it skip here? Do we see a bit of a jump across parts of Georgia, Tennessee? I don't know. The deal is the timing. So something to keep an eye on over the next couple of days as we really time this system out. There's going to be a lot of warm air out ahead of this system too. The limiting factor that could be some good news for us would be cloud cover. So the hope is that would end up limiting the severe weather the further north you go. Some of that warm air, though, you can see as we head into Tuesday, getting pushed north out ahead of our low. Temperatures climbing well into the 60s and 70s. Dew points on the way up, too, and you can see some of that warm air moving all the way up into Michigan as we head into Wednesday. So it's easy to see how you could get some of that severe weather in southern Indiana, southern Illinois. Again, the further north you go, check this out. Cloud cover keeping us in the 40s. But we could quickly pop into the warm sector and go into the 50s. So the warm sector of this storm is the most dangerous part, as with any type of setup like this. Let's walk you through the weekend into next week, though. We've got some rain and snow into the northeast as we head through this Saturday. And decent cold air, at least temperatures cold enough for some snow showers around the Great Lakes as high pressure builds in. It's going to be really windy, too, across the Carolinas. Red flag warnings up for many of these areas just because the potential for some strong winds with some dry conditions that leads to high fire danger. And then high pressure settles in over pretty much Kentucky into Tennessee, Ohio, West Virginia. On the backside of this, we do have some showers. And some of these could be on the strong to severe side across parts of Texas, maybe even into Oklahoma. Storm Prediction Center also highlighting a small area here as we head into Sunday for some strong to severe thunderstorms. Let's continue to push this out in time. There's our big system moving into the west. It's going to bring some heavy rain and snow here. I'm going to move forward with this pretty quickly, and then we'll dive into each locale a little bit closer. Low pressure rapidly deepening on the east side of the mountains. Strong winds. I mean, I'm telling you what, this thing is going to be a wind maker pretty much everywhere. I mean, across the entire country as it progresses through the week. Southerly winds out ahead of it. Westerly and northwesterly winds behind it really cranking up, and you got to be concerned really close to this low as you get a lot of wind shear, especially in the lower parts of the atmosphere where that surface low is developing in the lower parts of the troposphere of the atmosphere. Once you get up, your winds will be coming in at a different direction too. So you complicate all of that, and it's easy to see how you get those rotating supercells. The strength of these tornadoes and severe thunderstorms, I think, are still to be determined because we're talking about Tuesday. In my mind, those short-range models, especially like the HRRR. I like to look at the NAM 3K. You look at some of those other short range model outputs, and typically they do a better job once you get within that 24-hour range. But the idea at this point is to be aware and watch. Again, I hope there's some sort of limiting factor like clouds that end up just really causing some stable air and to reduce the potential for severe thunderstorms. There's another side of this storm too. If you're watching up here across Iowa, Minnesota, you're watching the snow, maybe even into parts of northwest Nebraska. Now, the exact track will determine where the snow band is, but the European has been pretty consistent putting that snow, at least rain to snow, across parts of Iowa, heavy snow up into Minnesota, Wisconsin on the northwest side of this with howling northeast winds. I mean, this is a strong winter storm. And again, the severe weather, to me, is the biggest thing that we're looking at. And that threat, I don't know. If you're going to get a warm front laying in here somewhere, I think you got to watch this storm. As far north as, I would say, just watch all of Indiana, Illinois, and Ohio. Clearly, your strongest dynamics at this point are here. Well, not necessarily that here, more like here. But as we move into Wednesday, this system does get a little more stacked. Your severe threat certainly goes down. But we're actually watching the East Coast. We could get some Atlantic influence here, some moisture coming in, and a lot of warm air too. You can see that bubbling up here in your heights as your atmosphere gets taller, literally, with the thickening of the warm air. Cold air behind this will rush in, rain changes to snow, and this is what I do not like. I mean, I hate to be biased about severe weather. I just don't like it. Nothing about it makes me happy. Now we've got another trough swinging into the west. That's going to bring some rain and snow here. And then that moves off to the east. It looks a little bit weaker, but it could also bring some more severe weather. It's that time of season when you have to watch all of these pockets of cold air that move east. And then the European is picking up on a much stronger system. I mean, we're way out in time. Look, doesn't this look like almost what we're going through right now? So I think we stay really active over the next couple of weeks. I want to compare the GFS if you're watching the snow specifically. I don't know that my mind changes much about where the severe weather is, but the GFS doesn't turn you as cold, and it doesn't put as much snow into places like Iowa, maybe even into parts of Nebraska. But still, it's got the idea of a winter storm and some snow up in here, something to keep an eye on for sure over the next couple of days. Snow at least through Monday around the Great Lakes. This is some of that's falling today, a couple of inches here, but some of the models picking up on that heavy snow already. This is the European back across Iowa into Minnesota and Wisconsin. Still to be determined. Let's start in the west here. We've got snow falling through Tuesday. And again, we've talked about that severe threat. The snow will really start to pick up heading into Sunday across parts of Oregon, Northern California, into the Sierra. Really heavy snow here, windy conditions. And then the snow spreads east into Utah, Colorado, Nevada, and then into Idaho. We're going to get some snow too as our other piece of energy drops in from the northwest. So two pieces of energy really kind of coming together here, and it looks like it'll phase together as we head into Tuesday. So some snow showers across Montana, and then into Colorado, we'll see some snow. Someone was asking me the other day, why are the models doing such a bad job in the Rockies? Well, you have topographic effects, right? So you're going to have windward and leeward sides of the mountains, and some of these models are picking up on the idea, and you know what I'm talking about. If you live in these areas, you'll be very dry, and you go up into the mountains where you get a little bit of lift, and you're going to squeeze the snow showers out. So that's what's going on here. Out across the plains, this is more of a synoptically driven snow, clearly not affected as much by the terrain. So your snow starts to pick up in your wind, and then another storm moves into the Pacific Northwest. Not really a storm, but I should say a system. And then we're watching this upper low by the end of the week. This is an impressive looking piece of energy. This could bring some decent precipitation. Look at that, into Arizona and New Mexico. Let's watch it heading into late next week. These upper lows are always a little tricky. This is center stage, I think, as we head into the week. Sunday and Monday looking pretty decent here. However, watch these storms across Oklahoma and Texas as they fire up with some of that cold air aloft. There could be some thunderstorms moving through. Some of those could be on the strong to severe side, but nothing like what we're going to see later in the week. Here comes low pressure developing in eastern Colorado, out ahead of our jet streak, which will be swinging through. And now you've got your thunderstorms firing up. Now, where are they going to be at? Where's this going to fire? I mean, it could be central to western Kansas. I don't know how far west it'll be. We'll watch that very closely. And then these will ramp up. And now you've got your supercells out ahead of this. Where does the cloud cover with the showers out ahead of your prefrontal thunderstorms? How does that influence your thunderstorms? I mean, you've got all of these microdynamic things and micro physical things that are still to be determined at this point. But the idea, if you look at the big picture, all the ingredients are coming together. This is the European, by the way. Again, rain quickly changing to snow on the back side of this. Big temperature differentials here. You're talking about well below freezing on the northwest side of this, and then way into the 60s and 70s on the front side. So a lot of temperature differences here that are going to really help that surface low pressure really get wound up and cranked. By the time we get into Thursday and Friday, everything moving to the east, and then we're watching our next system moving out of the Rockies. Again, we've talked about that storm potential on Sunday. Across the east, we've got the snow showers going here, and I don't think we escaped the severe weather here, unfortunately. Let's look at high pressure building in. How about that? A beautiful day for Sunday. Temperatures warming up nicely across the Tennessee Valley. Some snow showers around the Great Lakes still possible, a few lake effect snow showers, and then some rain showers start to develop on Monday across the south and maybe even further to the north. Now, again, this is where you're going to start to see some cloud cover. You can see these height lines intersecting if you follow, well, yeah. Anyway, I was going to get into some really deep stuff, but yeah, you've got warm air moving over top of some cooler air, and so there's going to be more cloud cover developing, especially in this sector. So I've got to wonder, will this help us some? Let's hold on to that hope because you're just going to have a lot of wind shear, and if we can hold on to the cloud cover, hopefully that will help us stay a little more stable. So as we move into Tuesday, here comes the storms. Out ahead of it again across Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Kentucky, Tennessee, and I think as far north as Indiana and Illinois. Now, once you get up into here, okay, so if low pressure is here, if you've got a warm front dangled somewhere here, your cold front clearly occluding at this point, almost like this. This is a terrible drawing. You're starting to stack low pressure here, okay, so your severe risk is much lower to the north. It's going to be windy, it's going to be rainy. If you can pop into that warm sector, though, watch out. Okay, so southern Ohio, southern Indiana, southern Illinois at this point, to me, if I were going to say where would the risk be, it would be here. But look at what time it is above my head. So you're timing this out during the lower temperature periods, during the time of day where clearly it's not as active. So if we can get some of these thunderstorms to move through at night across this region, it may help us. But now as we head into Wednesday afternoon, you've got to watch this part of the country, I think, as you get into some of those coastal areas where you bring in some of that moisture from the Atlantic. Now you're going to watch the severe thunderstorms as we head into Wednesday. Fortunately, most of your energy is up here where there's not as much severe potential, but enough dynamics that we could see some strong to severe thunderstorms. And it's one of the reasons, again, the Storm Prediction Center highlighting the East Coast here from Georgia, really North Florida, all the way up into southern New Jersey. And this would be for Wednesday on the extended Day 6 severe weather outlook. This is something relatively new that they've started cranking out and several years back, but it's pretty critical to take an eye and watch this as this storm moves off to the east. All right, that's all I got for this video. If you're looking for some cold air, if you're hoping for a big winter storm, again, right now we're moving towards spring, so your chances getting much, much lower. This is a really impressive upper level trough that's swinging through. It's negatively tilted. Again, on the northwest side of this, I still think you're going to see some snow. And then once this moves through, the question is what happens? Do we stay stormy? Do we stay active? I do. I think we've got this system here to watch. This is a more progressive system that looks to me, it's more of a positively tilted trough. So there could be some thunderstorms with it, but the pattern starts to set up here across the west with the trough swinging through. This almost looks like a negatively tilted trough as we head towards the 12th and the 13th, and then maybe another one. Very, very active. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. If you're brand new, thanks for coming over. I'm Travis. I used to be a chief meteorologist years ago. If you're super new to the channel, you've never been here before, I hope you'll subscribe and come back. I've been out of the TV business for many, many years, but if you're like me, you're a weather geek. I'm a weather geek, and once you're a weather geek, you're always one. Meteorologist, you're always a meteorologist. You're always into it. So hope you'll come back, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.